So okay, doesn't matter. There is like some annoying message here, but so we have four players. Guys, please join us, and we will start. Oh yeah, guys, and please use your real names. So if you this time if you put it some like nickname or something like that, it's not a problem. Just like then after this like quiz is finished, just send me what was your nickname. I will kind of keep track who was participating. So we have right now 8 people, right, in the Zoom, but only okay now 5 players ready. So yeah, guys, who joined right later, please, I'm like really begging you, turn on your cameras and make me happy. I want like to see your faces during the lesson. And yeah, so if you joined later, the idea is that we will have quizzes. I'm not sure that I will put them all lessons in the in the beginning of the lesson. Maybe it will be in the end, but nevertheless they will be there. And if you participate in quizzes, in the end you will get some extra points, which will add extra chances to get better grade in the end of the course. So okay, guys, let's start. Or if someone wants to join but has some issues, let me know. Okay. So okay, well, then let's just go. So yeah, so the first question: what does 8/3 evaluate to? And you can just choose the option that you like. Yeah, there is like some overlaying issues with hints. Somehow I could not fix it right now, but I'll try to fix it before the next quiz. So yeah, you have like 1 minute to answer the question, and then we will see results. Okay, and we have 2 options, and the correct one is 2, and some people answered 3. So guys, please, if someone answered 2, can you explain us what is the reasoning behind that?
So if we divide 8 by 3, we will get a whole number 2 plus fraction 2 over 3. Fraction gets discarded by this operator of double slash, so we get only 2.
I see. Okay, yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. So let's go to the next one. Yeah, we have 6 players ready, right? Okay, let's check what is the second question. Okay, so which result shows floating point anomalies? And we have 4 different options. So 3 plus 5. And if we sum up a bunch of float numbers, if we multiply 3 by 5, and if we have the exponentiation of 3 in power of 5. So everyone has voted. Okay. Oh, nice. Now we have like a very solid result. Everyone answered about the second option, and it's correct one, because sometimes when we perform like floating number calculations, there could be some discrepancies. I mean, like, so if you would, for example, follow the mathematical rules, the result's supposed to be 1, but when we do it on a computer, there is always some way how the float numbers represented, and because of that we can see some let's say anomalies. Okay, so question number 3. And it's So which is a valid way to include a double quote in a single quoted string? So here it could be a little bit hard to read, but basically, so there is a single quote and he said double quote opened, hi, double quote closed, and single quote. Here it's like single quote opened, then slash, backslash, double quote, backslash, double quote, and single quote. Unfortunately, I cannot control the font type in this system, which is used for the quiz. And because of that, it's like very tricky right here to understand what it is. But basically, there is a single quote in the end and double quote here. Next time I will probably put just like white space to make it more clear. Yeah, and so here A means this one, B means this one, both N and B means both, basically this is A, this is B, yeah. And we have both A and B answered the most time, and this is a correct answer. Basically, yeah, so here I will just go over myself. If we have, if we open single quote, then we can use double quotes inside of the single quoted string without any issues. Basically, so if you selected the one, I mean, like, if you selected this option, it's a correct one, but also this one also correct one. You can use the backslash before the double quote, and it will be fine. You will not have any problems there. Yeah. So basically, nice. Let's go to the next one. So it's like almost the end. We have again 6, 7 players now. Yeah, let's do this question. And this is which line is true? And here we have true and false, true or false, not true, false and true. So we have 15 seconds. Guys, I'll be back. You can finish this part. Correct option, true or false. Nice. So since everyone answered correctly, let's go to the last question, which is so 6, 7 players, 8 players ready. And the last question is, which comparison is true? So 1 is equal to 0, 1 is less or equal than 0, alpha is less or equal to beta, and hello is not equal to hello. Okay, 15 seconds, and then we will just go back to the lesson. We will today talk about how can we control the flow in the Python. So everyone has voted, and we have two options. So one is like alpha is less or equal to beta, and hello is not hello. So basically here I just like strict a little bit, because here what is interesting that we have a hello string which is like surrounded by double quotes, and then we have hello as a single quote. And so guys, can someone explain why this option is legit? I mean,
Because
why
quotes are not part of the string, it's just for Python to recognize a string. It doesn't matter which syntax you will use.
Okay, so yeah, that's right. So we can basically use double quote to enclose the string, single quote, and that means that in the way how Python stores the object inside of Python will be the same. It doesn't matter. So we can use double quote, single quote. It's just like a preferences. You can prefer one option or another one. Basically, so probably for me, I'm trying to switch to single quote because in this case I don't need to press shift, some extra key, and save some energy, right? A little bit of energy. But the correct option is indeed 7. Oh, sorry, not 7, but that the alpha is less or equal to beta. And guys, so why it's in this way?
Because Python sorts strings in alphanumerical order, and A is before B in a dictionary, so it should have smaller index.
Right. We will just go back to the lesson. But yeah, guys, thanks for participation, and yeah, there will be more of them during the course. and we will try to refresh some knowledge and maybe to go over some things. Let's just quickly take a look on the, basically, as always, we will go over through the website page, and I hope that you can see the screen and basically that the font size is enough. But we will not read the text, you can read it on your laptop. Basically what I want to show, it's like to remind you that last time we saw this picture, which in my mind represent the core ideas behind the programming, not just Python programming, but in general any type of programming, that we have three components. The first one, it's input data, then we have the program itself, which performs something within input data, and we have output data. And we talked a little bit that these two components can be present or they can be absent. But last time when we worked with the variables and with some basic data types in Python, we saw just like Python program, and we used print function to output something to the standard output. And today we will start working with the input data. We will learn how can we input some data to our programs. And let's just do that. So I will go to the same folder. Now I have folder which is dedicated for week 2, and let's start with some examples. And guys, please, if you have any questions and if you feel that the pace of the course of the lessons is like too fast for you, then say it to me, and I'll try to explain some things in more details, because as I said on the previous lesson, the course is aimed for total beginners, and I really want you to go with me through everything that I'm showing to you, and that you feel yourself comfortable. So don't be shy, please don't worry about other people who already skilled in Python, who understand everything. Yeah, we are recording, so the recording will be on the YouTube again. But yeah, thanks for the question. Sometimes, to be honest, I forget about that, but now I think that I did it. Yeah. Okay. So, and I just want to create a new file. I will call it like input examples or example.py. And again, so this is just text editor that I am using. You can use any that you like. You can use Visual Studio Code, which is very nice for writing different programs in different languages. You can use anything. For example, there is like a dedicated IDE for writing programs such as a PyCharm or anything else. In my case, I'm just trying during this course use a Vim-based editor, because here I don't have any highlights and any suggestions from copilots and any type of AI. For me, it's a nice way to just recall some things that I knew before. And now we want to read something from the user. Let's create a variable. I will call it input name, and let's use the input function. Basically, input function, it's a default and built-in function in Python which allow us to read something from the user. And now it's a function. We use parentheses, and inside of the parentheses we can put some prompt, some message that will be displayed before we start reading the input from the user. And let's put enter your name, something like that. And after that we will just print what is the input name. Okay, so how it works, we used here the built-in function print. We saw it last time. This function will print us something to the standard output. And here we put the string first, input name is, and we separated by comma 2 arguments of our function. And the second argument, it's the input name. Basically, what's gonna happen, this just a message for us, like a hint. This is a string. So we know how to create strings. We, in this case, used a double quote enclosed it, and then we put it, we have specified the input name. And now we can also check the type of input name is, and let's put type of input name. So here now we have two print functions, and now let's just execute it. I will use a shortcut, but so yeah, let's just kind of as a reminder. So I can use a shortcut, and you can see that I got like an error. So because okay, so when I'm like in this mode, I cannot use shortcut when I want to read some input. Okay, this is our program. Let's just highlight it, and now I want to execute it. So to execute the program, I use Python and then the name of the file. And now you can see we got the message enter your name, and Python now waits. So Python waits until we enter any information to the program. And let's just put our names. I'll put mine, and you can see that after that I pressed enter button. Basically, when I press enter, it ends the input function execution. And then what we got, that input name is, and this is what we entered, that the input name was Vladimir, and then also the type of the input is str. That means that we read it as a string. Okay, and also what I want to show you, that in this example, the message basically in general is optional. You can omit it. So for example, let's just remove the message from the input function. Let's again execute our program. And now you can see that Python, okay, I have a typo. So now we can see that Python just hanging. We don't see any message basically, but the behavior is the same. So Python waits until we enter any input and finish it by using the enter button. So okay, let's put some other name, and it works perfectly. And this is just as an example that you can control your messages in input, which sometimes is helpful to understand that Python waits for something, because otherwise it's very implicit behavior. We don't see what's supposed to be entered. And now let's check how can we, for example, start reading some numbers from the input and then perform some operations on them. I will call the new program number input.py, and let's create two numbers. So number one, and let's read it. So let's put enter first number, and then number two is input, enter second number. And then we can, for example, try to sum up numbers. Okay, so this is our program. Let's just highlight it. Shoot. So this is our program, and now let's try to execute it. So I run python number input.py, and now so it asks me to enter the first number. So let's enter 10 and 5. So guys, and what do you think? What is going to be the result when I press enter? So this is our program. You can see it here. And now I'm going to press enter. It will finish the number 2 input statement. And then we will calculate the number 1 plus number 2. So guys, any options? Please, don't be shy. Just try to guess. You know, it can be wrong. I will not be.
JavaScript dynamic typization joke.
What, sorry?
We will get typical JavaScript dynamic typization joke.
No. So it's gonna be some like I mean, like, so there is going to be some result, and just like okay, yeah, 10 plus 5. So what is going to be the result in this particular case? Just any option, and then so why you think in this way?
$105.
Yeah, and it will be string, right?
Yes, as I know, input function produces strings by default.
Yeah,
So
this is correct.
So we will have concatenation of two strings.
Right. This is correct. So basically, guys, if you, for example, saw it in the same way, that's nice. If you were thinking in another way, if you saw that it's gonna be 15, it's also fine because we just like started to learn Python, right? And that's fine. But basically, the answer is supposed to be 105. And why it happens in this way? This happens because as we saw, like on the previous example, when we entered the name and when we printed the type of the object, we saw that by default it's a string. And what happens here? We read the first input, the second input, and they stored as strings inside of the Python. And when we use num1 plus num2, Python understands that they are strings and performs concatenation. That's true. But now if we want to, for example, indeed calculate them as numbers, we can convert, for example, number 1 to integer. And to do that, we saw last time in the end of the previous lesson, we saw how to convert, for example, string to number or number to string. And to do that, we need to use some special built-in functions. In this case, I use the int. And then I need to provide what I want to convert to integer. And the same thing with number 2. It's an int of num2. Here I split it into two parts. So basically we have a statement which allow us to read the string, and then we used int of num1. But in reality we can put int before the input and it will be the same. Here I just like to be more explicit, want to split them into two parts. So okay, now let's execute our program again, and now if I put 10 and 5, the result is 15. Because now we know how to convert our numbers to the, for example, integers. In the same case, you can use not int, but float. So for example, if I want to convert numbers to float numbers, something like that. And now if I calculate 10 plus 5, you can see that the result is 15.0. Okay? Nice. And now, guys, let's go to the next topic. So about input, there are like some details, and I hope that we will understand better how input function works during the homework assignment, where you will read something in a topic. So about the homework. First homework, I will publish a link to the first homework during the weekend, and it will be on a Stepic platform. Also, at some moment, I will show you basically how the Stepic works, and it heavily depends on the input function. So you will read something from the input by using input function, and then you will perform you will write your program which performs different actions and so on. But I will show you, so don't worry, everything will be fine. Now let's go and let's learn conditional statements. Basically, in our programs, sometimes we want to control the flow. Right now, what is happening in our programs, we go like, you can think about it like as a linear program. We start, so for example here, So this is our program, and we go one by one. So we execute this statement, we execute this statement, no matter what. We execute this one, and so on. But basically, sometimes we want to control the flow. So we can, for example, say that this part of the program, I don't want to execute in particular cases. Let's say that you want to calculate CG content of DNA string, right? You want like to measure how many C nucleotides there, G nucleotides there. But let's say that someone provided you some like very weird string, which is not DNA. And then it doesn't, we don't want to calculate CG content for such thing. And in this case, we need conditional statement just like to track that something is not as we expected and just like not to execute anything. Because otherwise it can break our program. So guys, can you see me well? Because I just got like some notifications that my connection is unstable. Is everything fine?
We have audio stutters.
I see, okay. I hope that it will be fine back. Okay, but I will continue. If it's like super bad, then just, I don't know, text me or, yeah. Yeah, and let's imagine the following situation. So you are sitting somewhere and then you got the notification about that you have some message. And in the first case, we want emulate the following scenario. So basically, if we got any message, the person read it right away. And this is the example how it looks like. So let's just simulate this behavior. I will create a new file. I will call it if example.py. And what we want to do, so we have the message, input, enter your message. And then we now can check if we got like some non-empty message. So to check that the message is not empty, we want to check that it's not equal to empty string. And then we will print inside of the if block that the message was read. Okay, and now we just want to print end of the program. So this is our program. You can see it. Let's just execute it. And again, so now Python waits for some input. Let's just write something. So for example, I want to say hello. And you can see now that the message was read. End of the program. Basically, we executed this statement. What happened? We assigned to message variable value hello because we read it. And then message hello is not equal to empty string. It's true. So this converts to true. And after that, if it's true, we will go to the body of the if statement. And to highlight or like to specify the body of the if statement, we need to use indentation. So basically indentation is like some white spaces in front of the statement. In our case, we have like 4 white spaces. You can use tabs in the same way to specify indentation, and basically why you need to have indentation. In this case, Python understands that this particular statement is inside of the if block. Now let's just execute it again, and now I want like to provide empty string. So basically I'm trying to mimic the situation where there is no message. And you can see that we got different behavior now. So we have that we got end of the program, and this statement was not executed. And basically this is the idea that I wanted to highlight before, that now we can control the flow of the program. Before it was linear. Now, for example, we can avoid some blocks of the program. And in this case, we avoided it if there is an empty message. Also, you can use more statements inside of the if block. you can basically add something else here. For example, typing. Let's say that as soon as we got some message, we want to type back something and just like mimic this behavior. Now, for example, if I write again hello, you can see that there is like 2 messages was printed, and you can use as many statements inside of the if block as you want. You just need to use indentation to specify them, and here we use like indentation for the first and for the second statement. Okay, and also one note that in reality, we don't need to put explicitly is not equal to empty string. We can just write if message, and let's just check that it works in the same way. So if I execute it, for example, I write hello, you can see it works in the same way. Message was not empty, we got that the message was read, and there is a typing happening. Now if we put empty string, nothing happened. And why it works in this way? Because by default Python tries to convert this conditional statement part to the Boolean data type. And as we saw last time, there is a truthy and falsy values. And for example, if we have a non-empty string, when we try to convert it to the Boolean data type, we get true or false, and it depends on the content of the string. If string is not empty, it's true, and if it's empty, then it's false. You can just verify it. For example, we can print bool of message, just like to make it even more explicit. You can see that the bool of hello is true because hello it's a non-empty string. Now if it's empty string, then we got false, and because of that we didn't execute the if statement. Okay, now let's try to be a little bit toxic in a way that we want to emulate or like consider the following situation. Let's say that we read messages just from one person. So that if someone like writes you a message, for example, you wait for the message from some particular person, then you right away read the message. But if it's like from any other person, you're like, okay, I don't want to read it right now. I'll create if2.py. I will call it like very short. And let's write the program. Basically, so here is an example of the syntax we will use for this type of scenario if-else. And this is our program. I'll just copy and paste it. And I'll explain what does it mean. So here we have that the name is, and we need like in the same way enter the name, then there is a message. And there is a message. And now we check if message, so basically if message is not empty, and if the message came from particular person. In this case, I'm like a little bit selfish. I'm like saying that person reads only messages from me and ignores anything else. You can put your name and it's like legit. And otherwise, if it's like not from you or from me, the message was ignored. Let's just execute it and enter your name. So I'll put my name, and now I want to put the message. Hello, how are you? And so we see that the message was read because both conditions were true, and by the Boolean logic, both true, we executed it. Now, for example, we can play around. We can write that, let's say that not Vladimir, but someone else writes the message. Let's say like Julia writes the same. So, hello, how are you? And we see that the message was ignored because the person just like wants to be very, I don't know, very if-based in the life. Now, if we, for example, do the same like as Vladimir, but we in reality didn't get any message. So message was ignored, not super accurate. I mean, like it doesn't represent the real world in the way, because we put here that the message was ignored, but in reality there was no message. It was like empty thing. So guys, so far so good. Okay. Now let's check another case. So again, in these particular examples that I come up, I'm like very kind of selfish. But again, so you can put your own name and you will be selfish too. Now what we want to do, that let's say that if message is from particular person, in our case we still have my name as a person, and then we want to perform the following action. So we read the message and we start to type message back right away. Now if the message from some other particular person, we want to ignore it. So we don't like Lucy somehow, I don't know why. And if she writes us, we just like, okay, I don't want like to deal with that. I want just like to ignore it. And in all our other cases, if it's like came from some like scammers, from some like, I don't know, some like spam, we will just read it. We will just read it, but not type them back right away. Let's just again copy and paste it. We will call it if3.py. This is our program, and we will go through some examples in the same way. So, okay, name is Vladimir, what's up, something like that. Message was read, and then we see that there is typing happening right away because we executed this block. And yeah, so basically I didn't explain the syntax. Now what we have some other option, and it's like else if. We checked the first option here. If something true, we will execute it, and then we will skip all other parts. We will go right to the end of our program in this particular case. If it's not true, so for example, enter your name. We put the name as Lucy, and message is like, hi. And now, basically, how it works, we check the first statement. So message is not empty, it's true. And then name is equal to Vladimir. It's not true. Because of that, by Boolean logic, the whole statement converts to false, and we will not execute statements which are like inside of the first part of if block. Then we check the second statement. Now else if, it's a shorthand for else if. In Python we write elif. If message, so message is not empty. That's true. And now we check that name is equal to Lucy. And in our case, the name is Lucy. And all this statement converts to the true, and we execute this statement. And in all other cases, let's say that John writes something, we just read the message. And now basically, guys, you can control the flow, you can perform like a very plenty variety of different scenarios in your program. And in reality, so it's like a everyday basis, we always write some if-else statements in our programs, because, for example, sometimes we want to control some particular things. Let's say that you write the script that will analyze two different types of experiments. And I'm talking about gene expression data. Let's say that your script is going to analyze RNA-seq data and microarray data. The technology is different, and you want, based on the technology, process data differently. And in this case, you need like to have if-else statement. You will write, for example, if the type of technology is RNA-seq, you will perform some particular steps of normalization of the data. And then else if the data is microarray, you will follow different pipeline of the processing the data. And it's like every day. Yeah, let's just check it briefly, but in general, you can put nested structures. You can put if statements inside of the if statements, and how it looks like here. So we have, again, name, message, and now we have also message type. And for example, let's imagine that you are sitting on the meeting in your company. I mean, like, or like, for example, right now, you are sitting on the meeting and you get the message. And message could be, for example, text message or audio, right? And if it's a text, you can easily read it. I will not notice. In reality, you can even listen it. I will not notice too, because you usually on the turned off microphones. But let's say that we are like offline sitting and someone sent you the audio message. Probably you will not listen it right away, right? And you will ignore it. And here you can like just do the same. So for example, if we got the message and message is like Vladimir, and then we check the type. If the type of the message is text, okay, we can like read it, and we did it. But if the message type is audio, we ignored it because we cannot right away to listen the message. And there is also the else, in case if the message type is not text and not an audio, we will say that it's an unknown message type. So here is an example of the first input. We provided as an input the name Vladimir, then hello, and we used text as a message type here. And we got that the message was read. Basically, we entered inside of the first if statement, and then we went through different options here. And then if the message, the second option is like the name the same, message the same, and message type now it's not a text. And because of that, we ignored it. So you can build very complex structures, but usually try to be very, how to say it like properly. So you always need to think about the following scenarios, that someone will try to read your program. And you should be trying to write clear as possible, like as much clear as it possible, because even, for example, I want like to highlight my experience. Sometimes, for example, I write code, and if I take a look on the code in 1 month or like so, I don't understand what was happening there, and it's a bad example. So usually you need like to write the code that you can easily understand after a while, and you should be you shouldn't be shy to share it with other persons. And this is a very nice like a marker that you are doing well. And basically try to keep this idea in your mind, that someone will read your program and you want to make it as clear as possible. Okay, now I want to cover the if-else operator, which is in my mind super handy. How it works, we can write one statement and it's called like ternary if-else operator, and this is a general syntax of it. We can write, guys, is it like clear? I mean, the font size is okay, you can read it when I'm sharing the screen.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so how it looks like, we can put two different options on the left and on another side, and inside of if-else, inside of here, we can specify the condition. So this is an explanation. Condition is something that we will check, and then value option A will be executed if condition was true. So basically, if true, we choose the left side. If condition is false, we choose the right side. And by using this, we can, for example, in one line check the maximum value between two numbers. So it's like Python, not Python, it's like nvim ternary if, and we want to paste it here. Yeah, so here we have two values, 10 and 20. And then we create a new variable, we call it max value, and we used here ternary if-else statement. And we check if A is greater or equal than B. If it's true, we will return A, or otherwise we will return B. In this particular case, this is false, and because of that, we will choose the option which is on the right side. So if I execute it, we can see that the max value after this statement is 20. right? And basically it's like very nice to use. At some moment we will see it for filtering. So for example, let's say that you have how it can be used in a real case scenario. Let's say that you have gene expression data, right? And then for each gene you calculated the average expression. So we have gene expression data, let's say 6 samples, and for each gene we have 6 values. We calculated the average of these 6 values, and now we have like just a huge list of numbers, basically, which is equal to the number of genes that we have in our data. And now we want like to we want to filter out low expressed genes. Or if we, for example, if the value is less than something. Okay, another example. So we want like to trim the value, we want to cap it. For example, if the value is greater than 3, we want to set it as a 3 and kind of replace the value. Why it can be useful, for example, sometimes if we normalize the data, we can expect that the data looks like as a normal distribution, standard normal distribution, and there is some rules about that. Usually when you have standard normal distribution, it's like very unlikely to see values which are like greater than 3, and we don't want to have outliers in our program. So to make it a little bit clear, it will be like a spoiler, but let's just try to emulate this process. So I'll call it like cap values .py. And here I will create our first list. We will see it a little bit later, but the idea is that I will create list, and how it works, I will put some values here. So for example, 0, 1, 1.2, and so on. And let's say that there is like outlier, 5. And now there is again 0, 1, something like that. And now we want like to discard this outlier. We don't want to have outlier in our program. We want like to trim it down and use 3 instead of 5, because 5 is like too high value, and sometimes it can screw up our like for example visualization. Let's say that you have outlier inside of your values and you want to plot a heat map or something like that. Because of this value, the color map can be super strange or something like that, and we want like to trim it down. And in this case we can use if-else statement. So let's now kind of reassign, and we will use value if value is less than equal or 3 or otherwise 3 for value in L. And now we can print L. So this is a spoiler because we didn't see it before, but I just want like to basically highlight the idea and that how you can use it later in your programs. So now you can see that when we executed this statement, we had like let's say that average expressions of our genes. We see that there is expression, average expression 0, 1, 1.2, and 5. And 5 we think about it as an outlier. And now what we used here the ternary if-else statement. We wanted to clip down our outlier. So, and for all other values, this statement is true, and because of that we return the value itself back. But if the value is greater than 3, this like true for 5, we will return 3. And this is just as an idea. Okay. And now let's take a look on the cycles loops in Python. In programming, usually we want to repeat some operations over and over again, like many times, for example, million times, billion times, or something like that. I don't know, you can put any numbers that you like. And this is very handy because if we are like doing it manually, it's usually very painful. But in programming, we have 4 loops, all these like type of loops, and we can use them to simplify the process. And here is an example of the for loop in Python. For example, .py. I'll just copy paste. You can do in the same way. So this is our program. We have for i in range of 3, and then in the same way as it was like for the if statements, we can specify that some particular part of the program kind of refers to the, for example, for statement, if statement. So, and this is called indentation. And in this case, we indented this part, and it means that it belongs to the for statement. Inside of the for statement, we used for I in range of 3. Range, it's a built-in function in Python, and we provided 3 as the argument of this function. Now, when we execute this program, what is happening? So I will go through each value that range function generates. And as you can see, the first number that range function generates is 0, then it's 1, and it's 2. And basically you can think about it as, so the range function is like some function that allows you to generate a sequence of numbers. And this is just as an example about how it looks like. In general, there are 3 arguments of the function, which are like start, stop, and step. Some of them have default values. For example, start value usually has default value, and it's you can see it's like 0. Stop, we need like to, it's like required, we need to specify it. And step also has some default value, and by default step is 1. And when we called, for example, range of 3, what happened? Start is equal to 0, stop equals to 3, and step equals to 1. And we generate sequence of the numbers. So you can see in this case the general situation. So we generate sequence of the numbers from 0 to 3. So in our case, start is 0, stop is 3, and step by default is 1. So this is, I believe, the example of the range of, no, it's like another example. Yeah, but basically this is a general situation. When we write just range and we put one argument, it converts to range of stop. And if we put 2 values, it converts to range of start and stop. Step will be 1. In this case, start will be 0, step will be 1. And then also we can explicitly specify all of the options. And here are just like examples. For example, if we put start and stop, we will have that we start from the value. And the last value, stop, is not included in the sequence. This is a default behavior, and basically I believe it's done in this way because sometimes you want to go through the iterable object, for example, through the list, and we will see that the indexing of the list starts from 0, and because of that, if you have, like, for example, 10 values in the list, the first value will have index 0, the last one will have index 9, and then you can write range of len of your list. In this particular case, it will be range of 10, and you will get the sequence of all indexes. We will see it in the course. And this is an example of start and stop, and there is also example for just of stop. So here we can see that if we put 3, stop will be 3, and you can see it's like kind of dimmed. That means that it's not included, and we will generate 0, 1, 2, and 3 will be just here with a step of 1. Guys, is it clear about for and range? Right? Okay, so there are different examples. Let's just copy paste them. For example, no, it's like not for, it's like range examples, range examples.py. And let's just execute it. So what happens here, in the first example, we have range of 4, and we generated 0, 1, 2, 3. And when we have a sequence of print functions, each line will be on a new line. Then example 2, it's a range of 2 of 6. So we generate sequence from 2, 3, 4, 5. In this case, we controlled start and stop. Now we control all options. It's like 1, 5, 2. And we start from 1, 3, then the next value is 5, but we don't include it in the sequence, and the step size was 2. Also, we can go like backwards. In this case, for example, 4, 0, minus 1. We go 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0 is not included again because it's like on the as a stop, and stop is not included. Okay. Yeah, and then you can generate also, you can specify for loop inside of the for loop. Let's take a look on this example. Nested for.py. And here in this example, we created all possible pairs for this following sets. In this case, we have a range from 1 to 6. 6 is not included, so you can see that we went here like from 1 to 5. And also we can, in the second set, we have from 1 to 4. 4 is not included. And we basically created all possible pairs. So you can think about it as if you have Cartesian space, you can create the grid over all values, in this case integer values, over this part of the space. So, which sometimes is useful. Yeah, this is just a note, you can read about it. And also for today I want to cover the while loop. And basically for me the difference between for and while loop is the following one. So in for loop usually I know in advance how many iterations I want to do. So for example, I want to repeat something 100 times. Okay, then I'm like for I in range of 100. Yeah, but sometimes we don't know in advance how many iterations we need to accomplish the task. And in this example, so we read the value from the user. So you can see enter number in interval from 0 to 100. And we want to be specific. The value that user provides us supposed to be inside of this interval. And then we use the while loop. And how it looks, we write while, then there is some conditional statement, some condition. In this case, if the value is not in the range, so here is a little bit fancy way to use comparison operators. In Python, you can just write a sequence of them. So for example, 0 is less or equal than input value, and at the same time, input value is less or equal than 100. So if this statement is not true, we want to get a new number. So if the value is outside of interval, we want like to ask again. So please enter the value that I asked you, right? Why you're like entering some random stuff. Let's just take a look on this example. While example.py. This is our program. And now we want to execute it. So, okay, guys, which value should I enter? Any option, guys. Please don't be shy. I'm just trying to involve you in the process.
200.
200. Nice. I really like 200. Okay, so entered value was outside of interval. Try one more time. So should we now put something from 0 to 100 or again like trick it? So for example, you can even try, what I usually recommend, it's like try to break your program. So try to put something and break it and then try to understand why it doesn't work. So for example, I will put some like nonsense and let's try to execute it. And now we completely broke our program because we cannot convert this like number to the int, right? And we fully broke the program. And then you can try to think about it. Okay, what should I do to fix it? Why it's like was broken and what should I do to fix it, right? And then, for example, you can try to do it in the following way. You're like, okay, so my user can put anything. Let's just try it. And then there are like some ways, we don't know it right now, but there is a way to check, for example, if the string contains only digits, or if it's like has some like characters, some other characters. But yeah, so for now I will not fix it, but you can, for example, then try to go to the Stack Overflow or to some other sources and try to fix your program. Now let's just try to put again 200. We simulate the same process, and now let's say like okay, you want from 0 to 100, I'll give you 50, and that's it. Program is finished. And the idea is that in this case we don't know in advance how many attempts we need. For example, I can put a lot of different numbers, so user is like very stubborn, right? But then at once it's like okay, I give up 30, and then we got the value. So this is basically the idea. Because in case of for loop, I don't know in advance how many times I will repeat this process. And for me, usually the options are 2. So if I know in advance how many iterations I need to do, I usually use for loop. If I don't know, then I'm okay. I need like to come up with some condition. And in this case, we are like, okay, I want like to narrow down values from 0 to 100. This is my condition. I can check it easily in Python. Okay, we did it. Then, yeah, so we can write the program. Also, what is interesting about while loop that you can use it in the same way as a for loop. You can always control it. You can say, okay, I want like to go through the values from 0 to 10 while like for. So this is our program. We create a variable, we called it I, assign 0 to it. Then while I is less than 10, we print the value, and then in the end we increment it by 1. And we have like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically very similar to for loop. I mean that we can do it as a for loop. Yeah. Also, you can use this operator to increment the value by the specific one. In this case, we want to increment by 1. And so what does it give us? Opportunity to reduce amount of lines that we write. So in this case, we have variable name I, but sometimes it could be a very long variable name. And then in this case, we need like to put it twice. I is equal to I plus 1. This is similar to this one, but exception that we don't need to write I on the right side. This is a specific operator, and it works with all of them. So you can write multiply, equal, and basically how many times you want to repeat the value. Yeah, how many times we have? So still have something. Yeah, so this is an example about you can, for example, read. Let's just check. Let's just check it. While and strings. While and strings. And now I want to run this program. So here we provide the input, and we called it input line. And while it's true, so guys, okay, question for you. What does it mean? While int line is true, basically what we are checking here.
That it's not empty.
Right, correct. It's not empty. Yeah, and if it's not empty, we will repeat this block of code over and over again. So let's put something hello, and we got echo hello, and then we read again int line as using input. Okay, now we can what is happening here, right? What is happening here? Again, we got something, and then the person is like, why are you screaming? Okay, now we want to finish the program. And what to do? We just need like to provide the empty string. So I provided empty string, the program is finished. And these are examples about while loop. Okay, guys, do you have any ideas where you could use while loop in your particular cases? And let's be focused on the system biology. You're like from system biology, from bioinformatics, You're like, okay, where can I use while loop? Any options, any.
In any case, for example, if we take some data from file, then we use while to check is it empty or we really took something meaningful.
Right. So for example, you have like data table, right, with values, and you want to go through each value in the data table and check, for example, is it an A not assigned or some like empty value, right? And then, for example, skip not assigned values, measure some summary statistic, plot a plot, right? Maybe some other options, guys. Okay, guys, I want like some crazy option, one crazy option. If you have it in your mind, just say it. No? Maybe not related to the system biology.
Gene extraction from a lot of files, for example.
Uh-huh.
For example, last time I did find gene in 400 FASTA files with coordinates. If it's empty, it's not present in annotation, for example, while we use while to check in which files exactly it's empty.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, one option from me, guys. So I'll try to be as crazy as I can. So let's imagine the following situation. We want like to write a Telegram bot which writes the message to particular person like over and over again while person is not responding. So and when person responds, we stop it. Just as an example, like first thing that came to my mind. Okay, the next thing which is important in all this like if-else loops is that sometimes, for example, we want like to break the statement, and in case of the loops, we want to go to particular like to skip one iteration and go to the next one. So I'll show you the example of the continue.py. So guys, I need your help. What is happening here? What will be outputted to the standard output?
If the number divided by 2 without remainder, print this number in range from 0 to 9.
Okay, so if the value divided by 2 without remainder, right? We will
yes.
We will continue, which means we will do what?
Print it.
So okay, it's my fault.
Not.
It's my fault. Yeah. So basically, I probably just sorry. So the idea is that sometimes we want like to, for example, go to the next iteration. We don't want to execute a huge bunch of the statements which are like inside of the for loop. And in this case, we can use a continue statement. Yeah, just like I was not very explicit. Yeah, and in this case, so we check if something is true, we do continue. And basically, we will discard everything which after the continue statement, we will go to the beginning of our for loop, and we will do it again. So in this case, we start from 0. Can 0 be divided by 2 without remainder? I think so. And because of that, we will continue. We will not print 0. Then when I becomes 1. 1, if we try to divide 1 by 2, there is a remainder. And because of that, this is false, we will not execute continue. So let's just check it. Yeah, and that's how it works. In this case, we printed odd numbers, right? And now, last example for today, it's a break.py. And in this case, we can break the whole loop in particular cases. So here, for example, if I is greater than 5, we will break. And you can see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then in reality, we could go 6, 7, 8, 9. But since we reached to the point where I is greater than 5, we just break the loop. So guys, I think that's it for today. We did a great job. We went through all of these things. It was very tough.